Hi, welcome back to BRMC's Healthy Connection with our guest today, Steve Dunn from Baxter Regional's Home Health. And we've been talking about how to keep your home safe so that you don't become one out of three adults age 65 and older that falls each year because the recovery rate isn't necessarily good, and it's tougher, as Stephen said. So, all right. And Stephen, one of the things that you brought with us today that came from the Center of Disease Control, some of these facts are astounding, that many people who fall, even if they're not injured, develop a fear of falling. So at this point, and because of that fear of falling, then they start isolating themselves from other activities and doing less and less and less. So
they just basically end up sitting in front of the TV all day, which is, not only ruins, well, I would say ruin, it makes it tougher on your body, but your mind starts to go too.
Oh, you bet.
You got to keep your mind active just as much as your body.
Right.
So rather than just have this fear and curl up in a ball and leave, that's what the hospital and home health tries to promote, is this developing a safe home to where you don't have this fear, or the fear is lessened because these potential problems were brought to your attention, they were fixed, and now you have a safer home to live in, and you feel better about walking around, getting up and doing things.
You bet. So you're talking about then somebody from the home health agency could come in and do a home assessment if they were using our home health services. That would be part of it.
Absolutely, that's part of it. When a patient comes to the hospital, request home health through the hospital, that's initially what our nurses do upon arrival at the house. They're there for well over an hour, I think, to admit the patient to our services. They do a full screening of the patient. They assess the home, make sure the home is the way it needs to be to prevent further injuries. One thing we don't like seeing in the home health realm of things is patients going back into the hospital.
Sure.
We don't want to see that.
Nope.
People want to recover at home and stay at home. We like to see the chain of actions go as planned. We like to see them, if they come from the hospital, come to home health. Home health eventually says, you know what, you're doing great. We're just going to leave you at it. Yep. So, and then you're good to go.
Good.
And that's the way we like to see things. So, but yeah, the nurses will go in. They take classes and continuing educations on ways to make the home safer, so they know what they're doing. They're very specially trained in that. Yeah.
I know we covered some of them today, that we talked about handrails, especially in the bathroom, by the commode and in the tub, maybe having a seat in the bathtub, and a handheld shower. Would maybe be the safest. Maybe doing a ramp coming into the home with handrails, if that's necessary.
Another thing to look at is adequate lighting in the house. Hallways, bathroom is very important. It's sometimes overlooked. If you get up in the middle of the night, is there adequate lighting to see where you're wanting to go? So generally, which either means the kitchen or the bathroom.
Sure.
So we got, those night lights are available that are on when the light's off, and it doesn't use hardly any electricity. Once you flip the light on, it goes off. So those are very important to keep around the house.
That'd be real important, because I can think of one thing that probably many older people have in their homes are pets. And if their pets are anything like ours, there are toys scattered. You would think we ran a daycare. They're just everywhere. And I'm thinking, the middle of the night with inadequate lighting, boy, hit one of those tennis balls and you're you're down.
I think perhaps the most important thing to have is a plan. I think this whole process of keeping a safe home starts with a very well laid out plan. Starting with, how's the home laid out? Are the scatter rows gone? Are cords laying where they don't need to be? If they have to cross a threshold or where you walk, get a wide piece of tape, duct tape or something like that, and tape them to the ground to where they don't move. They can't roll on you. Beyond that, adequate lighting. make sure you have a smoke detector in the home.
Oh, sure.
Or carbon monoxide detector, you know,
Yeah.
which usually they're one of the same, but you need to make sure they are if they aren't.
And they're working.
Yeah, and they're working.
Yeah.
If they start beeping on you, go ahead and change that, you know.
Get that
I learned that, yeah. Medications.
Oh, sure.
Clearly labeled medications. If you can't see the print, color code them, get somebody to write on them with a big marker, just a simple letter on the top or something, just so to make sure you aren't mixing them up, make sure you understand how to use them.
Not taking the wrong one because you didn't put your glasses on.
Yeah. Make sure you have an emergency plan for disasters. You know, we just saw one disaster very close over in Joplin. I mean, that was that hits home. That's the Ozarks almost, you know. And I know everybody, including myself, thinking, well, what if one of these hit my house? You know, where would I go? First thing I'm thinking about is, you know, how would I get a hold of my mom or my sister to make sure they're okay, or to let them know I'm okay. And that's something to think about too, communication with your family during one of these.
Right.
Do you have a plan?
It's a great suggestion.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's very important
Yeah.
that some people don't think about until that time comes, and oftentimes too late.
Yeah.
So another thing I like to tell people when I go, patients when I go see them, is, you know, keeping a phone safe around. I know I've seen ladies with phones with cords around their neck, you know, hanging on to them, so they're right there.
Yeah.
That way it's always near in case you do fall. Now, the hospital does provide one thing that has been very popular in the community, and I think a lot of people aren't actually aware that the hospital actually does this, is that the emergency response systems with the little buttons that we push.
Like I've fallen and can't get up.
Yeah,
buttons.
the fallen and can't get up commercial. The hospital does provide those. They provide them to our patients, and we also provide them to anybody in the community that wants them. And it's a very reasonable price. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I mean, we can call our office and find out.
What's a number they can call if they want to learn about the emergency response?
508-1790.
1790. 508-1790. Okay.
And yeah, I mean, you push that button, it links you directly to a dispatcher, that just like a 911 dispatcher, that can give you medical advice, get the ambulance or the fire truck on the way,
find out what your need is, and get it done.
I mean, and like I said before, the majority of these requests come from the family.
Yeah.
Yep. I'd say it's half and half. Patients calling and saying, can I get one of these things? Sure. And the rest of them are family. But they are so popular, and it's a safety deal. It makes the family feel safe knowing that mom has, the thing that she needs to,
it's
keep
hard
her
on the
safe.
adult kids. I mean, if they've got stubborn parents that aren't willing to go along with this, and they can see the need, they're not sleeping at night, worried about mom or dad home, and that they may need something. So these are nice.
It does
technology.
help them sleep better at night. From what from the response I've gotten, to know that mom has that button right there. If she needs any help will be there.
Yep.
They ain't wondering, well, is she just laying on the floor, without anybody? Should I go check on them right now?
And that happens more than
any
of us like to know. If people, all of these things that we talk about, the key things in life that are so important is to have family, to have friends, to have a support system, people that do know your routine, that are checking on you. But we have so many folks that have moved maybe to the area, they've made a few friends, but once their spouse becomes ill, especially if they've had a fall, and they start going through this cycle that you've talked about, that they become more and more isolated, and people don't always, when was the last time I did see Joe? Hey, those newspapers are piling up, and we're fortunate that we're in an area where people do take action
and check on their neighbors.
Their neighbors. But there have been folks I know of right here in Mountain Home that have laid on the floor for 2 or 3 days.
I know, I've seen them myself.
So before help was brought in.
We do live in a great spot, though. I've been to I don't know how many houses where the neighbor was actually there, asking questions about this thing. They're actual responders on, when they push the button, they have a list of responders. The neighbor's on the list.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That is neat.
That's good for us.
That is good.
You bet.
Yeah, that's what makes it wonderful living here.
Yes, it is.
I love it. So.
Well, what else you got for us today, Stephen?
Let's see. You know what? Using non-slip mats in the shower. We talked about using tubs and handrails.
Yeah.
But just putting the simple mat in the shower where your feet can, stick to the ground and not slip out from underneath you. What's important is if you do use in the wintertime fireplace, make sure it's cleaned out to where it doesn't fill the home with smoke or carbon monoxide, which is undetectable unless by a sensor. Space heaters during the wintertime. I know it's the middle of the summertime, but it's around the corner. We got to keep our eyes open for this. Space heaters, keep space around them. That's what I always say.
Yeah, good idea.
You can't keep them, especially near drapes, furniture, things like that.
Yeah, bed linens. That's another one too that I've often thought about that with folks that, we ladies like to have the skirts
around
on our bed, and then the big comforters and everything. But those can be a real trip hazard.
Yeah.
If they're kind of
you're right.
over there and you're coming around the corner and better to get one a little more tightly fitted. So.
Yeah, definitely. And dealing with the wintertime possibility of a fire, that's generally when fires come up. And of course, they can happen anytime, but it's very important to have a plan, an exit plan. That goes back to having adequate lighting. If you need to think just for a second, if the house caught on fire, what would I do? Could I get to the front door safely? Would it, could I get to the back door safely, or get out of here safely?
Right. Right. What's your plan?
What's your plan? And even having those buttons like we talked about that the hospital can provide, that can call the fire truck just as easy can call the ambulance too. So it's just a medical dispatcher.
And it also is letting people know where you are.
Yeah.
The last thing you'd want is somebody running into a burning house where everybody's out of it. So that's, so here's your plan, and saying, okay, when I leave that house, I'll be on the north side over by the oak tree. You know, that's where I'll be.
Yeah, communication is very important as well. So.
Well, Stephen, you've given us a great deal to think about today, and some great ideas on how to keep safe in your home. Start moving stuff off those. Get your family members to move all that stuff on the high shelves that you need or use, and bring it down where you can reach it, and put in the bath mats, handrails, lighting,
rugs,
scatter rugs. Get them out of there.
Get the furniture out of the way.
Get those.
Little pets. I know they're kids most of the time, but man, try to keep them from hopping around your legs all the time. That's rough. That can be dangerous.
They can be a trip hazard, believe me.
I know. I've seen, some bad outcomes from that, because it's easy to trip over them. I mean, even I do. Boy, I get mad at that dog. I got a big old basset hound that tries to run around. He's
they
hopping
just want to be with you.
I know, they do. It's like, ooh. So.
Well, Stephen, thank you so much for joining us today. So, thank you for joining us today for BRMC's Healthy Connections. We'll see you again next week. Thanks for joining us.
All right.